you hear this, when you're in a classroom and you hear someone go, oh, that, oh man, that hits me. That hits me.
This video is proudly sponsored by Chapman University's Archibald College of Business and Economics, located in beautiful sunny Southern California. Are you thinking about pursuing a master's in accounting? Chapman's MSA program is tailored for ambitious professionals like you. With intimate class size and a collaborative atmosphere, you will receive personalized attention from world-class faculty who bring extensive industry expertise to the classroom. Enhance your accounting skills, fulfill CPA license requirements, and elevate your career with Chapman's flexible MSA program. Discover more and apply today at chapman.edu/MSA. Erick, thank you so much for the interview today. We have a special guest, Erick Bell, professor of accounting at University of California, Berkeley Haas School of Business. He has about 20 years in public accounting and about 10 years in education. So I'm very excited to have you on my podcast today, Erick.
Well, thank you for having me, Rosie. It's a pleasure to be here with you. When you put 20 and 10 together, that adds up to 30. And so we're rounding up. I just want to be clear about that.
But you don't look that old, so don't worry about that. First and foremost, I would love to know a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So like you said, my name is Erick. I think when I first start to introduce myself, I first tell people that I'm a father. So I have 4 amazing children, Kasani, Makai, Lucas, Benjamin. And when I think about everything that I have accomplished and I'm working toward accomplishing, it really is with an eye and a focus on them. So that's me. Like you've also pointed out, I'm an accounting professor. I like to bring that up because it is what I love to do. It is a rarity, and I acknowledge that for people to be able to be productive, making money, doing what they love. And that's the opportunity that I found myself in this space in my life where I get to go to work because it is a job. But there's so many aspects of it that I enjoy. And then the other thing that I would say about me is I am I'm very committed and focused on how do we close the wealth gap in the United States. And so, my journey, we're talking about my CPA journey, but my life's journey has taken me to different echelons of economic success that I never even envisioned possible when I was growing up. And it was because I was not exposed to those opportunities, and I wasn't told about all the different ways that you can build wealth and do it in a way that is sustainable. And so my mission in life is to spread that message out to as many other people as possible so that we can effectively close the wealth gap, the racial wealth gap, the gender wealth gap, the educational wealth gap. I think every person here, every person on this earth deserves to experience what financial freedom feels like.
I'm very excited about this interview. Sounds like I already have a lot of questions to ask about this mission. That's just amazing. And I like the fact that you say that you finally find something that you enjoy doing it, and also is financial support for your family as well. That's not something that many people can do it. They will be like, I have to do this job because it pays me enough to support my life.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the reality for a lot of people. But the challenge is, can you find those moments in your profession that you do enjoy, that you can cling to? And then also being able to find enjoyment outside of work. And so, one of the setbacks to my lifestyle is I am very much engulfed in my work. And so my joy is my work. So I'm constantly working, which is, which is not good. And I get that. I understand that, but I also enjoy what I do. But being able to find that balance, I think is critical.
We need people like you in this profession to just spread the enjoyment in this profession to show that people should come enjoy with us, right?
Uh, Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so talking about your enjoyment, let's start from the beginning when you start in college. Why did you choose accounting to start your enjoyment in your life?
So I actually have to take you back to high school to talk about where my journey begins. So when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to participate in a program called the Accounting Career Awareness Program, and the program started in Seattle, and they brought it to the Bay Area. I live in Oakland, California, so they brought it to the Bay Area, and the program was launched because they saw that there's a hole, a gap missing in terms of African Americans, Latinos that pursue careers in finance and accounting. And so they said, if we're looking to attract them when they're in college, it's too late. So how do we start to develop them as high school students? And so that's what launched this program. Now, Rosie, it is an amazing program because what the program does is it takes high school students, about 30 high school students every year. They get to live on a college campus. The campus that we stayed at was UC Berkeley, um, for an entire week. And during that week, you're taking classes about accounting. We're going on camp. We go to different companies, visit different companies, and learn how accounting impacts what it is that they do at their company. We do a case study. Um, we we eat the dorm food. We meet people from different fraternities and sororities, and so it's just a holistic experience. And so I was honored to be in that first program, for the ACAP program, and that is the sole reason that sparked my interest in accounting. Um, Now I tell the story a lot, but the two things that I remember from that week that really resonated with me, one was the dance because I'm good. I think I was the best dancer there. But the other thing is someone said, and I don't know who said it, but they said if you decide to pursue a career in accounting, you'll never have to worry about finding a job. Um, and I think back on that now, and it's so rudimentary because I don't feel like I have a job, right? It's about developing a career. But I cling to that because I was looking for stability, economic stability in my life. And so I said, okay, well, this accounting thing sounds kind of boring, but if it's going to provide me, some stability, that's what I'll do. And so without having all the information clearly, I decided, I was going to declare accounting as my major when I started college. And so that's how I walked onto the college campus saying I'm going to pursue a career in accounting. Now the story continues on from there, because once I got to campus and I said this is what I want to do, I got connected with other organizations, and they helped me understand what does it mean to be an accountant. They introduced me to the big accounting firms at the time. I think there were six at the time, the big six accounting firms, and they said, no, if you're going to do accounting, you don't want to work at an accounting in an accounting department, you want to work for an accounting firm, right? And so, as I navigated through my college career, there was that level of support that continued to drive my interest in accounting.
That seems to be very impressive when you were just a high school student and you're already looking for job security. It was pretty young age to think that far away because that age I would expect that, oh, it's accounting fun.
Yeah.
But to think about that far away for security, is that something that trigger you at that moment that you have to worry that far away for your future?
Well, I don't think it was about worrying far away from my future. It was understanding my current position and seeing a lot of financial instability in in my life growing up, and not wanting that for myself. And so I think that was the driver. I forgot to say one more thing, Rosie, about the ACAP.
Yes.
We call it ACAP ACAP program. It's free. It, it's a free program for high school students. And here we are 34 years later, maybe, and the program is still in existence. Actually, I recently resigned as the chairman of the board of that organization. I served like 6 years as the chairman. And so to have started as a high school student and then grown through the board, on the staff, to ultimately become the chairman of the organization has just been a blessing and just a wonderful opportunity to just continue to give back to something that gave so much to me.
Yeah. So did you continue the dancing part when you were the chairman?
Occasionally, I might break out a few moves. Occasionally,
It sounds very interesting to me that you have two things you remember. It is dancing and job security. So that's really fun. And when you study accounting major in college, it looks like you got your first job at KPMG. Is that correct? After you graduate?
I did. Yes. I started at KPMG.
Yeah, and you stayed there for 10 years, go all the way up to senior manager. Back to that
Yes.
time is very different from what it is right now. I can tell that. But I'm just curious, from 10 years at KPMG, one of, I'd say, big six at that moment, as you mentioned, what did you learn the most from that time?
Yes. So first, I want to pass along some more credit to an organization called Inroads, which still exists now. It is a internship program. And so for students that are interested in business, they can participate in this program where the program connects students with companies. And so I was part of the Inroads program, and that's how I ended up uh, earning my internship at KPMG. And you intern throughout the summers, so it's multiple year internships, and then the goal is for them to offer you a full-time job. And so imagine me going into my last year of college without this worry, this burden of, okay, I've got this debt. Um, how am I gonna make money? What am I gonna do with this degree? And so again, this is why I am so enamored with the field of accounting. There is a very prescribed career path for students who pursue and achieve an accounting degree. Now you can choose other paths if you want, but there's this path that's very prescribed. And so I was, fortunate and blessed to have a job offer starting my senior year that I accepted at KPMG. And so, with the experience that I learned, some of the things I took away from KPMG, there was so many things. I'm not going to get them all. But one I say is the importance of relationships. Just day one of, starting my full time, day one, I saw the difference in when I walked into that room with like 50 other new hires. Everyone's nervous, and I can look over and I can see the administrative assistant that I've known for 2 years and say, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Or see the partner that I brought coffee to when I was an intern, and he says, "Eric, good to see you." Right. So there's just that level of comfort, and we can't undersell the importance of people being able to walk into a room and feel comfortable. This feeling, this sense of I belong here, because that just continues to spark your interest. And so building relationships is critical. And I learned that not just from day one, but just throughout my career in terms of opportunities and assignments that I worked on. I could tell tons of stories. And then I would say the other thing that I learned is the importance of having strong communication skills. And what we don't do a good enough job of in the accounting classrooms is teaching communication skills, because it's not just about the data; it's about the interpretation and the communication of that data. And so it was a struggle for me because I had to learn how to write things down, right? Because how we communicate in memos, right? So don't tell me what you did. Write down what you did in enough specificity that someone could recreate that. And so that was a new learning. That was a new learning path for me to learn how to become a really good writer in terms of writing down my thoughts in a succinct manner. Um, so I said communication, relationships. Um, I'll I'll pause there. I'll pause there. I was there
You
for
may,
10 years. I learned a lot.
yes, I bet you have a lot of stories to share. What is the most interesting story you would like to share with the audience?
Oh man, about my time at KPMG.
Yes.
So I think one that was really telling is, and it kind of leads into where I am now. I enjoy teaching, and so KPMG invests all public service or professional service firms, I should say, invest in their people. And KPMG invested in their people, so we had a lot of trainings and opportunities, and they needed instructors. And so I wanted to become an instructor. Teaching has always been something I've been interested in. My mom is a teacher. And so I've always just loved the idea of teaching. But teachers don't make a lot of money. And so I love the idea of making money. And so you got to pick and choose. So I want to teach. And so I keep submitting my information online to teach, and I keep hearing no's. I keep getting rejected. And so going back to relationships, there was someone who I knew who had transferred to the New York office where they make these decisions about who gets to be instructors. And so I just told her, like, yeah, I'm really struggling here, Michelle, because I really want to teach and they're not giving me the opportunity. And because of that relationship, she said, well, I'm not sure why that is, Eric. Let me look into it. And she made it, I don't know what she did on her end, but I got an email and they said, okay, you're signed up to teach, wherever, Florida, Chicago, wherever it was. And once I did it one time, I was hooked. So when I think about what led me to my current career, it was that, wow, this is where I belong. This is where my joy really picks up, is when I can help other people kind of have that epiphany moment.
I'm just curious, what's in teaching that make you feel so much joy in there?
You know, so one is when you hear this, when you're in a classroom and you hear someone go, oh, that, oh man, that hits me. That hits me. Our life is about learning, right? And real learning, real teaching comes from relationships, right? And we as humans we need this relationship, this connection. Our society is, I think, is leading us to believe that we can be effective, like through um, through text messaging and artificial intelligence and things, but that human connection is never going to go away. I think that's innate in us. And so this is an opportunity to help people grow. I see my job as accounting professor way more than just making sure they understand the names of the financial statements and what goes on them. I want them to learn how to learn, and how to critically think about things and how to connect uh, different data points to say, what does this mean to me? So that's my joy. That's it.
That's so interesting. I'm just curious that if you provide training at the firm, is kind of the same as teaching. Did you try to provide training at the firm and you didn't like it, and then you enjoyed much better teaching in the classroom, something like that?
No, I much prefer teaching in a firm. I thought they were the same. They are not the same. Um, there's a difference from teaching people who want to learn versus people who are there because they're working through a process. And so when I'm teaching adult learners, or when you're teaching someone like, they already understand. At KPMG we called it WIFM, WIIFM. Yeah, what's in it for me? And so um, students need to understand the WIFM, what's in it for me. And so for a lot of students at a college, what's in it for them is, well, I'm going to get a degree, but that's really not what's in it for you. And so if you can connect the student with their why, as to why they're there, they engage more in the class. And so when I'm working with um, adult learners, particularly working within a specific company, they understand that they need to learn this material because it's going to help them tomorrow, next week. And so they're asking better questions. They're engaging in the material. Whereas they already know their why. Where my college students, I have to help them build out their why. Here's the other thing, Rosie, that shocked me when I first started teaching. My first teaching opportunity was at the University of San Francisco. And so when you teach at the firms, and I taught at KPMG, and then when I was at Deloitte, I was a national instructor for Deloitte as well. At the end of class, people would walk up to you, shake your hand, and say, "Thank you. Thank you." Like, oh, yeah. So that immediate feedback, oh, feels so good, right? I don't, let's not pretend. I love to hear someone express gratitude, right? We love that. And so I nailed it my first class. And I said, okay, that's class. And all those students got up and they just left. And no one said thank you, or, there may be one or two people, but it was like, yeah, we'll see you again. It was just it's a different culture, right? A different environment. You don't say thank you to your professor. So I was like, wait a second. No one's shaking my hand. No one's like congratulating me on the back. So, there's some nuances between, teaching for professionals and teaching for students.
I agree with you because it sounds bad, but I don't think I ever come to my professors and say thank you at the end of the class. Oh my God. Just after it's given that I'm there to learn and they are there to teach. And so at the end of the day, we just say bye and see you tomorrow or the next time.
Send one of them an email, and just say, hey, I was your student 6 years ago, 10 years ago, and I just want to say thank you. Oh, those emails mean so much. They mean so much to us. They really do.
Wow. I still keep in touch with some of my professors, and I literally just met a professor that I took her class 10 years ago. I just met her last month. And it's just funny
Yeah.
that we're from different states, and then she end up with have a business trip nearby where I live, and we meet up and say, that's unbelievable that we didn't meet for 10 years, and all of a sudden here we are. It's just so different stage in life when you meet your professor again, not in classroom.
Yes. Those are always fun. Those follow-up
Yeah.
meetings after the semester is over. Yeah,
So
for
much
sure.
fun, so many things to catch up, and the conversation sounds very different as well. Talking about like two adults talking about career, about life now, and not just like professor and student talking about the subject.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it
Yeah,
humanizes the relationship as well.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you mentioned about Deloitte, and after working at KPMG for 10 years, you moved to work at Deloitte for about 6 years. They are both big firms. What the reason made you move from one big to another big firm?
Yeah, I'll tell you two reasons. One, I was transitioning from audit, which is where I started my career, into forensic accounting. Um, And then the other reason is that I found myself becoming stagnant at KPMG. And so I needed to do a rebranding of who I am, and the skill sets that I could bring. So, I started at KPMG young, and I was intent on having fun. And so like I said, I was a national instructor. I did a lot with our diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives. Those existed at KPMG long ago. So they're not new to the game. And I did a lot also with recruiting. And so I become known as that guy. But I also had a very strong technical background that, I was not getting the level of respect that I should have gotten for that. Because they weren't placed. One, I wasn't being assigned to those more, complicated jobs, for two reasons. And the reason that I'll own is because I didn't want to be on that job. Because if I was on that job, I couldn't be a national instructor. I couldn't do the other things that I wanted to do. But that was also, causing me to sacrifice my growth potential, at the firm. And so, I share that story because we have to make conscious decisions, about who we want to be and how we want to be perceived. Um, Perception is a real thing. And so when I started at Deloitte, I had a completely different, uh, not persona, but a completely different, reputation there. I was the technical person, right? And I wanted to establish myself as the technical guy. So in that forensic, group, when there was an accounting related issue, they would come to me. Um, and Rosie, to be, completely candid, I had work to do, right? I billed myself as I'm the technical guy, and boy, I had a lot of catching up to do, right? Because they're looking at my audit experience and go, yeah, you must be. But I didn't build that skill set as I went along. And so it was a challenge to kind of, create, create that skill set. But challenges are, opportunities to show what you're made of. And so I rose up to that challenge. So those are my drivers for moving on to Deloitte. And one of my biggest takeaways from Deloitte that I always mention is, Deloitte taught me how to build a business. Working in forensic accounting, it's you eat what you kill. And so we have to go out and, you know, build our own portfolio of business and then serve our clients, but also be thinking about when this project ends, what's the next thing that we're going to be doing? And so I had to learn networking skills. I had to learn negotiation skills. I had to learn how to appropriately price a project to make sure that it was profitable. So it really just built up my entrepreneurial skills. And a lot of those skills I'm also still using to this day in my own firm.
So you have your own firm now,
I
along with
do.
the teaching position?
I do, yes.
Oh, wow, you're really busy and being a dad of 4 kids. I have no idea how you find time to do all of this.
You sleep very well. I sleep very well at night.
Yeah, because you are so exhausted during the day doing so many things.
Exactly, exactly.
At least you are very productive, get a lot of things done. So it's
Well, I do,
great.
and I enjoy it. It's I enjoy my clients. I'm very particular about the clients that I take on, the projects that I accept. So I work a lot with small businesses and nonprofit organizations, and they have missions that I believe in, that I stand behind. And so it's in those moments. Yes, the accounting can be boring. The bookkeeping work can be boring. But I'm looking beyond the numbers and I'm thinking about the students that they're impacting or the lives that they're changing, through the work they're doing in the community. And those are, so getting back to that, yeah, not everything is going to be exciting. But you have to find those moments of joy and cling to that and say, here's my purpose for why I'm doing this work.
I like it. That keep you stay motivated for the job.
Yes.